What's going on, everyone? So this is basically me talking about UFC 241, Nate Diaz versus Anthony Showtime Pettis. Although the main event is Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic for the heavyweight title of the world, also known as the most badass person on the planet, everyone's mainly tuning in for your boy Nate Diaz versus Anthony Showtime Pettis. That's the co-main event. And then the third fight on that card is going to be Yoel Romero versus Paulo Costa. I'll talk about all three fights, but just for those who are tuning in for Nate Diaz versus Anthony Showtime Pettis, let's jump right into that one. Then I'll cover the other two so y'all can dip out if you want. So, I'm biased. I'll let you know right now. Huge Nate Diaz fan. Also Anthony Showtime Pettis fan, but not as much as Nate Diaz. And I'm super excited because Nate Diaz has had a 3-year layoff. For those who don't know, his last fight was Conor McGregor, where it was an arguable decision that went Conor's way. Nate Diaz whooped on Conor in the first fight on short notice, and then he had a super close fight in the second fight, which some people viewed going Nate Diaz's way, but it ended up going to Conor, and then he hasn't fought since. It's been about 3 years. There's a lot of reasons behind that, dealing with the UFC not promoting him right, the UFC not being a fan of his, and his style and his anti-the man ways. But a lot of that isn't Nate Diaz's fault. Some of it I can understand the UFC, but for the most part, I think the UFC dropped the ball on it big time. Dana White, big time. Dana White's also very biased in his decision making and does hold grudges and treats people poorly. Some people, of course. So those are my quick opinions on that. Anyways, back to the fight. Nate Diaz, Showtime Pettis. How do I see it going down? Well, I see it going down Nate Diaz win by TKO, submission in the third round, or unanimous decision. So it's a 3-round fight, not a 5-round fight, which probably benefits Showtime Pettis since he can be super flashy, do a lot of stuff, and not have to worry about extending his conditioning to 5 rounds. Nate Diaz, who has excellent conditioning, it's probably a disadvantage because usually he can pepper and pressure and take punishment, and then as the rounds get on, his opponent gets or more tired, and Nate Diaz just keeps with the pressure, and then eventually either TKOs the person or gets that person to try to engage in grappling, take him down, and then submit him, or win by decision. With that said, again, I am biased, but I think Nate Diaz is going to pull this one off. It is a 3-year layoff, so who knows. Back to Showtime, though. Showtime's very exciting fighter as well. So, really, it's going to be a close one. You can go either way. Anyone can be right on this. Showtime Pettis has excellent striking. He has kicks and the hands. His kicks are going to be a huge factor in this fight because Nate Diaz, he likes to stand and trade, and he doesn't check kicks as often. He doesn't try to avoid kicks. He's more of, I'm going to eat that kick to the leg and then punch you in the face a bunch. Keep punching you in the face, keep punching you in the face until you give up or you take me down. Then I'm going to use my excellent ground game to submit you. Anthony Showtime Pettis, you could say he's similar, sort of. He's a very good striker, so he'll throw his hands, he'll throw his kicks, and he's really good on the ground game. So if he is striking and then runs into someone who's trying to take him down, he has that ground game to also try to submit the person. Now, I can see it going either way, but I wanted to go Nate Diaz's way. And the whole UFC not giving Nate Diaz his shine, the UFC shafting him, and making him look bad in the media, all those factors also play into why I'm super biased and want Nate Diaz to succeed more than Anthony Pettis. I mean, the best case scenario, I hope it's a very exciting fight, that Nate Diaz wins, but Showtime does an excellent job at promoting himself and getting himself another great fight afterwards. But yeah, I want Nate Diaz to win. I'm super pumped up. I can't believe I'm going to it. I mean, it definitely costs some moolah, but it is what it is, right? This is history in the making. Speaking of that, let's get to the main event. Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic. So Stipe Miocic is arguably the best heavyweight of all time because he defended it more than any other heavyweight in UFC history, which is 3 times. So that means he won the title, then he defended it 3 times, which no no other heavyweight, which is the heaviest class in the UFC, has ever done before. But then there's Daniel Cormier, who, Olympic wrestler, came into the UFC, beat everyone at heavyweight, but then dropped down to light heavyweight because the gym he was training at had the heavyweight Cain Velasquez, who's also arguably one of the best heavyweights of all time. So Daniel Cormier fought at light heavyweight, dominated everyone at light heavyweight other than John Jones. Now John Jones is arguably the best ever at light heavyweight and just pound for pound, but John Jones beat Daniel Cormier twice. Both times there was issues with it. John Jones popping for PEDs. So no one's ever beat Daniel Cormier in a UFC fight other than John Jones. But because John Jones beat him twice, you can see how there's a lot of conflicting views on, is he the best, is he not the best. Jones popped for steroids, so there's asterisks next to his name, blah 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 blah. But with Cain Velasquez out of heavyweight, Cormier went up to heavyweight and then continued his success. He beat Stipe, who was arguably the best at the time, for the belt. So now you got Stipe, who's arguably the best for 3 consecutive title defenses in heavyweight, getting beat by the next guy who's pound for pound currently the best in the world, who's dominated everyone in light heavyweight other than John Jones, asterisk for the 2 losses, and then has beat everyone in heavyweight. Everyone. He hasn't lost at heavyweight. So you have a person who's literally beat everyone other than the best person pound for pound with asterisks next to his name, and now he's giving a rematch to this guy, Stipe Miocic. So it's a really big fight. I don't know who's going to win. It could go either way. The first fight was close. You had Stipe winning the majority of it until Cormier caught him with a punch and knocked him out. But there's even different levels of how to view that, because a normal person can say, oh yeah, Stipe was winning until he got caught, so Stipe should just do the same thing, not get caught and win. But then your real fans look at it and go, I can see it going either way, because yeah, Stipe was getting the better of it in the first round, but that's also Cormier's style, to kind of feel out the opponent, let's see what he can do, see how fast he moves, how strong he is, blah blah blah, pick up the pace, and then handle business. And since Cormier has won every single fight that way, then you can't really argue that Stipe was on pace to win that fight, because that's kind of Cormier's strategy. And this fight seems like it could go the exact same way. Another factor is that they were striking, and Cormier is by far a better wrestler than Stipe. So this fight could always just be Cormier saying, you know what, forget that noise. I'm not going to knock you out in the first round like I did last time. I can't beat as impressive as a performance as I did last time. So I'm just going to bring it to you, take your ass down to the ground, and ground and pound you and win. Now, realistically, that's how I see the fight going. I see Daniel Cormier coming out, getting in Stipe's face, grappling with him, getting him up against the fence, dropping down, taking him to the ground, beating on him, winning, defending his belt for the second time, keeping his belt, and possibly retiring after that as the greatest heavyweight of all time, #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. But at any moment, it's heavyweight. These guys slang them things. So Stipe could catch him with a punch, knock him out, and that'd be that. Or win by decision. But I think the conditioning is in Cormier's favor, so I don't see a decision victory being the outcome. And wrestling's in Cormier's favor, in my opinion, so I don't see Stipe out wrestling him. Striking is in Stipe's favor, in my opinion, because Stipe has the reach. So if he can stay on the outside, keep that reach, kick, and use his strength to his advantage with the striking, I can see him possibly knocking out DC. But for the most part, I see DC winning again. So yeah, I'm picking Daniel Cormier for the win. If you disagree, get in the comment section, let me know what you think. And then the third fight on the card is Joel Romero, who looks like a freaking Cuban Ninja Turtle, yoked up. You would assume he's on steroids. He's popped for it in the past, but then went to court and they found him innocent. But he's also, just excellent wrestler, a freak of an athlete, going against another freak of an athlete in Paulo Costa. Now, Paulo Costa is more of a newcomer, but also been very dominant lately. People are kind of giving this 50-50. I might be wrong on this one, but I don't think it's 50-50 at all. I actually think Yoel Romero is a huge step up for Paulo Costa. I think Yoel Romero has been there, done that, fighting the best of the best and only losing to the best of the best. Even though he's like 40 years old, I believe he's going to come out, he's going to explode. It's only going to be a 3-round fight, and I think Yoel Romero is going to win by knockout or TKO. That's what I think. Not too much to go into details on that one, but that's what I believe. They're both all bodied up, meaning that they're, ripped, six-pack, muscle freaks. But at the end of the day, I think Yoel Romero has the experience, he has the skill set, and he has the advantage almost everywhere other than the youth factor. So I see him winning. I did just watch the weigh-ins of all of them too. That just got me even more pumped. But I'm sticking with those statements. So let me know what you think. Get in the comment section. Do you agree? Do you disagree? But with that said, yeah, UFC 241, Anaheim, California, going down. Not surprised, motherfuckers. Let's get it.